Hello, internet friends near and far. Welcome to another episode of Parks and Conversation. This is a podcast where we celebrate the goodness and the wonder that is the classic NBC sitcom Parks and Recreation. And I'm Jason, and I'm joined all the way across town by my friend Jeremy. Say hello, Jeremy.
Hey, how's it going?
It is going so well. The sun is shining yet again. My kids are in school. Things are getting back to where they're just not in my face all the time. It's wonderful. How are you?
Quote normal. Is that
Yeah. It's not normal. It's the new normal,
right?
which I liked old normal better. But I
Uh-huh.
guess if new normal's all we got, then
It's like
okay.
normal 2.0.
Yeah. I listened to a fascinating podcast a long time ago. I don't even know how to find it on the internet if I tried, but it's Malcolm Gladwell. And he was talking about McDonald's French fries. And
Okay.
when he was a kid, McDonald's French fries were fried in beef suet, like the fat from beef, like they were
Sure.
actually deep fried in that kind of fat. And then because of, health and stuff, they had to change to a kind of vegetable oil,
Hmm.
and it radically changed the flavor of the McDonald's French fries, which is like, if you grew up with really good fries and then they change them on you, it's like the worst thing you could possibly do to somebody. And
Consequence.
so he had a whole podcast about it
Wow.
and how much better it would be if they would just go back
Sure. That was
because it.
also happened to be the same time that Pepto Bismol sales started to climb.
Hmm. Yeah,
What?
right.
What? Yeah. I don't remember. I don't remember a difference in the fries. So
I
I
think
don't
it
know.
was before we were really cognizant of flavors,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
when you're a kid, everything tastes good
Right.
and or everything is fine. You don't really notice how awesome something is.
Except
Um,
sugar. Except sugar.
yeah,
That's like, oh, this is sweet. I would like all of it.
I want more of this always.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't really know, but like Malcolm Gladwell was old enough, like he was an adult when this switch happened. So he's like, wait, this is wrong. So but now I am on a quest to just try all the French fries. And
Good. Good luck.
yeah, so it's important. It's important stuff. Yeah, favorite fry. Where are your favorite French fries, Jeremy?
Favorite French fries? I a Red Robin.
The steak
Mostly
fry.
the steak fry because I'm a sauce guy, and so that honey mustard sauce, it's really more of a sauce delivery system.
Hmm.
So it's just
The
a big
fries are a sauce shovel.
yeah. I was gonna say spoon, but I like shovel too. That's about how I eat them. I eat Red Robin French fries like most people eat chips and salsa at a Mexican restaurant. I just
Okay,
say keep them coming. Just
yeah. When the server's like, "Can I bring some table fries to begin with?" It's like, I don't know why they're not here now.
right, yeah.
Why
The
didn't you
fact,
bring them on your way?
why
Save
did
yourself some steps.
yeah? Why didn't you grab some while you were taking us to our table?
Right. That would. I don't know why they don't do that.
Just grab a
But
basket of fries on the way through.
right, they should just have them out there under some heat lamps as you, as you just take a basket as you go to the table.
Yeah,
They're
what about
free.
yeah. I have not been to Red Robin in, I feel like, 2 years, but yeah, that's my favorite fry. How about you?
I really like the McDonald's French fry.
Okay.
So I like how uh they're not super thin. They're not like shoestring fries, which are gross and way too much work.
They're a lot
Like
of work.
yeah, so like there's a place called Indigo. I'm calling you out, Indigo. Kathy loves their fries, their shoestring fries, and I hate them. Also, Claim Jumper had shoestring fries for a long time, and
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, what's the point of this? It's so much work to get a French fry. So I like the McDonald's fry by itself, no sauce, no ketchup, nothing. It's just so good. And at the bottom of the little cardboard dispenser, when you got the little like fry bits,
Uh-huh.
those are real good too.
Right, the little fried toothpick.
Yeah. Oh man, I love them. So, but they're never super. Well, they sometimes they make them wrong, but like they're almost always crispy. Whereas like you go to a Wendy's and sometimes they're crispy, sometimes they're super floppy, and it's like this is gross.
Well, it's the same
Anyway.
thing at Red Robin, though. Like, the second order, it's kind of like
Hmm.
you got your first batch. That's the good one, and then after that, they're like, "You get these barely heated up. We grab these out of the freezer bag and gave them to you."
Yeah, it's man. Also, I would go for my second favorite fry. I would go In and Out. in California.
Okay.
Those are good fries. But I also like that you can see them make the fries right in front of you.
Yeah, kinda like a local our local, Dick's Hamburger drive-in.
Right.
They also slice up they have the potato press.
Yeah. However, the fries from Dick's are a, they're good while you're eating them, but you are instantly filled with regret because of your life decisions.
Yes,
Like, why did I eat that? Why did I eat 3 of those? Why did he eat 4 deluxes? So,
because 'cause they're $1.25, why wouldn't you?
yeah, and their milkshakes are really good too. Anyway, why are we
Wow.
talking about this?
'Cause
Because
I don't know, you
we
started.
talked about going back to the new normal.
Oh, yeah.
So, speaking of abnormal, today, I mean, change is in the air in the parks department, and new Chris Traeger, the new city manager, he's coming in with all kinds of great ideas. He's going to mix it up. And so, part of the tension that they're feeling is trying to get back to what was. And so, you sometimes you can't go back to what you used to have. But if you're Ron Swanson, that's all you ever want is what's you've always had. So that's look at that transition, man,
Wow.
nailed it. I should just post this to the podcast awards for like best segue back on topic when you didn't start on topic at all. I'm sure that's a
Is that
category.
a cat? That's probably it gotta be a category.
Have you listened to podcasts? It has to be a category, unless it's produced by NPR, or people who actually know what they're doing on radio. Most podcasts are two guys just chatting. So,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah, this episode is called The Bubble, and we are going to walk through it. And I broke it down into three major plot lines again, and so we're going to start with the B and C plot, and then come back around to the A plot because the A plot carries Ben and Leslie's story forward. But let's give a synopsis for season 3, episode 15, The Bubble. Leslie really does not want to ruin the wonderful bliss of a new relationship, and Chris is changing everything. That's the synopsis. And so, cold open is interesting because Anne is in it because Anne is starting her new job at the parks at City Hall, part-time PR director for the health department.
For the first time, she's
Finally,
actually supposed to be there other than drawing
yes,
people's cholesterol blood. Cholesterol
cholesterol
blood.
blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the first time Anne actually has an excuse to be in the building during business hours.
Season 3, episode 15, finally.
Mark it down. And so she's part time at the hospital, part time at City Hall. She's got a reason to be there. And so as she's walking in the hallway, you hear Celebration by Casey and the Sunshine Gang. And she comes into her office and it is full of balloons. Leslie is throwing a welcome party for Anne, and she's got all kinds of great opportunities for them to celebrate Anne coming into the department. And it's going to be great. April is in there, hidden in the balloons, and she appears and says, "One of these balloons I filled with poison, and I'll pop it and kill you." And Andy responds by saying, "That's not how it works. Gases fill the volume of whatever container they're in." School. That is one of my favorite moments. Uh, is he just cites school.
Right. As he's
I
looking
look,
right as he breaks the fourth wall, like, he's looking right at the camera, like, letting everybody know just how smart he is.
yeah, so great. But then we also find out that as Leslie's giving all of the activities, uh, Anne also has an office mate in this office full of balloons, and it's Stuart, and he's kind of a grouch. And his first response is, "Get these bleep balloons out of here." So it's pretty
Stewart's
funny.
not a fan of balloons.
No, and Stuart, I don't think Stuart is going to be in the office for very long. If I remember, like this is the only episode where I think we ever see Stuart. So if they're two part-time people, I mean, maybe they're usually off schedule, but I don't know. I don't like Stuart either. He's kind of a grouch. So that's the cold open.
Yeah.
Um, One time I went out of town and I came back and my staff, they did fill my office with balloons. And that was very annoying. So,
That that was an excessive amount of balloons, though, in Anne's office.
yeah. Well, really, anything more than like 6 balloons, probably too much.
That's it. Okay, that's your cutoff.
Well, what's the
6.
point? Like, I care about turtles. I guess all these people just don't care about turtles. Like, let's make a bunch of balloons, and then fill the landfills and oceans with something that will look like a jellyfish for a sweet, sweet turtle to eat. Is that what
Wow.
we want?
No,
Merry Christmas.
I'm
Happy
not.
birthday.
I'm not doing that. Is that
Yeah,
what you
so that
wanted? Is
yeah, thank you.
that what you want to hear?
Um, yeah, just no more balloons. Down with balloons. So that's the cold
Which
open.
if you don't fill in with helium, that's their
They are
natural
down,
state.
and
Yeah.
that's part of the frustration too, is as a tall person, if your office is full of non-heliumed balloons, you have to bend down and get them all.
No, no, and as a tall person, if they are filled with helium and they go up to the roof where people can't grab them, it's your responsibility to get them down. You're
Right.
closest.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, I hate balloons so
Balloons.
much. I hate them.
Okay, Stuart.
They're just such a waste.
Stuart.
Like, I used to work at Long's Drugs, one of my favorite jobs, to do. So I had 2 fun jobs that I liked. One was get the carts from the parking lot or wherever else you might think there might be carts. So go
Why?
some
That looks
walk.
like the worst part of the job.
Nope.
Like what?
Nope. Worst part of the job is dealing with people. The best part of the job is walking away. so so I would just go for walks. Yeah, I think there was a parking lot over here at QFC. I think there was I think some of our carts ended up in this apartment complex.
Oh, they
I was
do. I mean, for sure they do. At
yes,
least
they
by my
do.
house.
Yeah, so I had to go look for him. So that was nice. The other fun job at Long's Drugs was filling up balloons with the helium machine, which is not really, I mean, it's a tank, it's not a machine.
Sure.
Um, Partly just because if you accidentally let go of a Mylar balloon, it will go all the way up to the top of the warehouse and it will be there forever. So, oopsies.
They actually invented somebody came up with like the balloon the helium balloon corral, right? You ever go into a
Hmm.
store where they have
Yeah.
like the upside down cage? Like somebody had to invent that. That just blows my mind. Like that's a thing.
Is it an upside down cage or just a cage?
Well,
Because otherwise, if there's no top on the cage, it's just it's just a
a
fenced
bo-
area.
a bottomless box.
Yeah. So, yeah, I have seen that. One of the things that would also hate if I ever ran for office, which if I ever tell you, "Hey, Jeremy, I think I'm running for office," just go ahead and just punch me right in the face.
Okay.
Um, but the victory balloon drop, I also hate that. It's so dumb. Like, here comes all of these balloons, real slow. like, like we're so excited that you got this nomination or you won this thing. Here comes some balloons slowly descending from the ceiling. Like confetti, like it like spins and you can have a whole bunch of different colors, but usually it's just red, white, and blue balloons again. Here they come. Get ready, everybody. Here come the balloons.
Maybe politics is just like sponsored by big balloons. Like that's just all. That's the whole reason for it.
The balloon lobby,
The balloon lob. Yeah. The
which also sounds like a terrible place.
it's, it's Pawnee's hottest nightclub.
Balloon lobby. Yes. Oh, yeah,
Okay.
Tom.
Okay. Speaking of Pawnee, we should probably do a podcast. I don't know if
All
people can
right.
tell, but we don't really plan this, you know.
What are you talking about? I have a spreadsheet.
Oh, that's true. All right.
So let's focus in on the B plot and C plot because Chris Traeger is new city manager. He's going to bring all these changes in, and so he wants to unlock the department's potential. And so he starts with Jerry, and he says, "Jerry, you are capable of much more." And I love Jerry's self awareness. He just says, "I'm not."
Yeah.
Nonsense. And so he holds up his hand like it's a mirror, and he's like,
Yes.
"Look in the mirror." Like, Chris, what are you doing?
And Jerry and even Jerry's response, this is the part that made me laugh out loud. Probably was just his simple, "Huh?" Like
Right?
what has happened? He was us. It's so great.
Yeah, like it was such a shock to Jerry. And so Chris is going to make him the head of public relations, which means he'll be leading the daily briefing sessions. Which
Oh.
my first question in this episode: why does a parks department need daily briefings? Like, what is he going to say
Are the
every
parks
day?
are the parks still there? What's the raccoon situation?
Yeah, I guess
Is
with
is there waste in the water? I don't know.
all of the media empire that is in Pawnee, I mean, they got to fill that time with something.
Right.
So, like, how many? Like, there's eight papers in town, and all of them have a big expose on wastewater in the parks. And so Ron is there, and he's eating. It looks like he's eating ribs while Chris is telling all of these new ideas, and he's like, "That's an excellent idea." To Chris, putting Jerry in charge of public relations, because Ron recognizes that city managers, they all come in with new ideas, and they basically are inefficient. They bring the government to a standstill, and this is Ron's favorite thing in the world: seeing the government be ineffective. And so uh, he just he says, "I'm just gonna grab a few donuts, sit back, and enjoy the show." And so next, we will see Ron come in with some donuts as this whole thing goes on, and then April is given a task from Chris that not just Ron's assistant, the whole department's assistant. And this is a nightmare, and she's gonna just this is not at all what April wants to do. So she's slapping herself in the face, trying to wake up. And Ron is just like nodding the whole time, like this is all good. This is gonna be great. The C plot then branches off because it's another meeting, and this meeting it's Chris talking to Tom and Andy, and Tom is going to be promoted into a project lead to digitize all of the city archives, which sounds terrible.
Yeah.
And I think Tom has the right perspective on all of this. This is a terrible job. Um, but in as one of the ways that Chris tries to butter up Tom for this opportunity, he says, "I love your entrepreneurial spirit." And a couple episodes ago, Chris had told Tom that he can't make himself wealthy off of his government influence. So his
Hmm.
party at the Snake Hole Lounge for the release of Snake Juice. He had to sell his shares, all this different stuff. But Chris is coming back around and saying, "Hey, I see you're a go getter. I'm going to help you be a go getter by go getting you to go archive all of those things."
By go
Um,
getting you.
so yeah. So and Tom's response is like, "As I'm an entrepreneur, is I recently sold my Chronicles of Riddick DVD set on eBay for $10." So yeah, good business sense, and use the profits to buy the Blu-ray, which uh a Blu-ray movie, right? Let's say it's like $20. At the time that Tom bought the Chronicles of Riddick DVD, he probably also spent $20, right? So he actually lost $30.
I don't know what the Chronicle of Riddick's math goes for, but I'll go with you in that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll agree.
he's not
Yeah.
he's not good at business, which we will find in the coming season. So
I actually would like to do that job. I think I would archive. That would be a good job for me. Just hole up in an office with a scanner and just put some music on and start scanning files till they're gone.
until they're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I'll keep you posted if I hear any openings.
Okay, thanks.
And yeah, so this is where we see you know as Chris is pulling this move on Tom, says this is going to be up on the fourth floor, and Tom's like, "No, I hate the fourth floor. Last time I was up there, I saw someone buy crystal meth out of a vending machine." So yeah, the fourth floor is where you go to you know do all the terrible things that government needs to do. Last time we saw Tom on the fourth floor, he was getting a divorce. So this is a sad place for Tom just in general. But then we also are revealed in this meeting. Andy's there, and Chris says, "Andy, I'm going to make you this. You are nobody's shoe shine boy. You are now an administrative assistant for 3 weeks, then back to shoes." Like, so like this is not a forever thing, but he's giving him an opportunity. And Andy was not paying attention, which is so funny. So Andy, he's like super excited, but he's like, "I wasn't paying attention. Can you say it back again, but more interesting?" Um, so uh, yeah, so that's the C B and C plot. It's what's going on there. So as we jump forward a little bit to the B plot, Ron's coming in. "I got a second box of donuts, if anybody," and then he's just like, "What the is this?" And Chris has replaced his the reception counter with a circle desk. And it is what Chris says. This desk is the epitome of the Swedish concept of jämställt, or equality. And so he gets in the middle of the desk and he's like, "This way you can see everything." Jerry say my name, turns around, and he's like, "Yes, Jerry." He's like, told me to tell you your name. Good job, superstar." And so he can pivot around all over the office. And Ron is like, "This is terrible. I hate this. This is gonna be
He's totally exposed.
yeah." And at one point he says, "What happened to this post that was here? It made it really hard to stand in my doorway." And Ron, Chris, like, "We took it out." He's like, "I really love that post." So yeah, so now this whole new his old office is now the public waiting room, and he's in the middle of the whole department. He's completely exposed to the world, and he is not having it. Chris is just like, "Well, get over it. It's gone. You're going to be more accessible than ever," which is the last thing that Ron ever wants. Um, yeah. So then we go up to the fourth floor, and Tom is talking about the description of the fourth floor. And I love the way. Do you mind if I just read this, Jeremy?
Oh, I don't mind at all.
All right. Fourth floor, small claims court, divorce filing, state ordered drug tests. It's somewhat both freezing and humid. There's a whole room on the fourth floor where they store the knives they've confiscated from people who went to the fourth floor to stab someone. So yeah, it's a dark, dark place. And so this is also where we meet Ethel Beavers,
Yay!
who will come into many different episodes for many different reasons throughout this series, and she is awesome.
Yeah.
And so she's going to show them around, and Andy's with her, and Andy is so excited. Goes into the office, and like the first thing Andy says, like, double computers, like, and they're like old, like
Yeah.
big huge monitors, and he picks up the phone and he's like, "Wall Street, buy some stocks now." And then he's like, "Oh, this phone smells like a butt." So, but he's still so excited. Nothing in Andy's life is bad news,
No.
right? Like he is seeing how awesome this whole world is, as he is becoming more and more of an adult. Um, and yeah, so Tom is super frustrated with all of this, and she leaves, and he's like, tells Andy, "Remind me next time to ask where Lincoln got shot." And Andy sits down because he's the administrative assistant for this whole project. He's like, "Remind Tom, no, remind Tom, ask something." You got it, boss. It's not even a good note. It's because he's learning from April how to be a good administrative assistant.
Yeah,
Um,
he's the wrong person for this job.
yeah. And then in probably what is the most iconic scene in this whole episode, it goes back to the parks office. And Jerry's like, "April, do you have that report I need?" And she comes over on what looks like, when you have foot surgery and you get one of those knee scooters, like it looks like one of those with a desk on it. And so she's scooting over to Jerry to give him a memo. And on the memo, it just says, "You will fail."
Really? Come on.
So,
Why?
so she's doing great. She's really embracing this. And she crashes into his desk. It's like, it's all bad.
And
And
she's and she
then,
and she's kind of like smiling when she like just breaking character just a little bit
yeah,
because I'm sure that scene they probably did that like 5 times.
right. Yeah. It's so good. And then uh, Ron is sitting in the middle of the room, and a woman comes in, and her name is Gretel. She's been at public forums before, and so she's not new to complaining about park stuff. She's the woman who found a ham and
Yeah.
and mayonnaise sandwich in the park, and her dog got sick, and so now she's coming in because uh, oh, just this scene just makes me laugh. Uh, she comes in and to say, "There's a sign at Ramsett Park that says don't drink the sprinkler water." So I made Sunty with it, and now I have an infection. And while she's talking, Ron is swiveling away and trying to avoid her. And she is continuing to ask, like, "Sir, are you listening to me? Sir, I'm talking to you, sir." And Ron isn't saying anything, but he keeps going a little bit faster. And then eventually, like, she's at like an old lady jog, like at the
Yeah.
mall. Like she's
Yes.
she's kind of like a good little trot going. Are you aware that there's waste in your water system? Um, like, that is one of the quintessential scenes in all of Parks and Rec, is Ron swiveling away from this old lady. I
Yeah,
love it so much.
she's got her little arms pumping, and she's kind of trying to trot around to catch up with him. Which at no point does she think I'll go the other way.
Right. I'll head him off at the pass. I'll
He'll
stop
never
here and he'll come to me.
he'll never see me coming.
Yeah. So, and then cut back up in the C plot up to the fourth floor, and April's up there complaining about her job in the parks department, about how Jerry is basically her boss, and Ron's trapped in this weird desk prison, and I now work at a traveling IV station. And then uh Mort, or not Mort, an extra comes in, a guy who's never been in the show before and won't be ever again. His name is Dana Gould. He is a stand-up comedian. He
Yes.
is amazingly weird. And he comes in and is like, "Is this Mort's office?" No. And then he just grabs the coffee machine, the coffee pot, and smashes it against the wall. It's like, "Tell Mort it's your move," and he leaves.
He poured the coffee out first too. Like
Right?
there's
Yeah.
just coffee on the ground.
And then he just leaves, and April's like, "This is the best place ever. Like, I need to work up here." Uh, and then Tom, who's just like, he's not having it, is like, "How many more do we of these stupid documents do we have to scan?" And Andy, in one of just such a great line delivery, he's like, "Just this one," and then he waves his hands like, "And all those over there." So they've done like one document, it seems. And so Tom's going to start figuring out a way to get out of there. And so he's going to like try to charm and schmooze with Ethel, and he goes over to her office and says, "Hey, Julianne Moore called. She wants her hair back," which totally distracts like Ethel, because she's like, "No one named Julian called." And so Tom is trying to like flirt with her, and then she's like just working on the phone the whole time, and he's like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "I'm just trying to make sure you don't miss any more calls." So great. So yeah, he's just trying to figure out a way out, and he's just feels trapped. Go down to
It,
the B plot.
I
Yeah,
was
go
just gonna
ahead.
say it's just so classic Tom because like none of his pickup lines work. His charm doesn't really work with anything except for like Joan Calamezzo, and so it's like even Ethel Beavers doesn't even see what Tom has to offer. Like just totally oblivious. He can't win. It's great.
Well, Tom's charm only works with other people who are also sleazy,
Yes,
right?
perfect.
Like Ethel is sleazy, but we don't know that yet. So
It's a different kind, I think.
yeah, it's a whole world of Ethel that just really gets unlocked later. But yeah, so Tom and John Ralphio and Joan, like they're like this probably the sleaziest people in Pawnee. Mona Lisa, John Ralphio's sister, is also gonna be pretty sleazy.
Feinstein.
And yeah, and so they're, it all works with them, but it doesn't work with non-sleazy people.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so he's trapped. And then go back down to the office, and Donna comes over with this bizarro keyboard. And he's like, "This whole thing isn't going to work." Um, and Ron starts to swivel away from her. And he's like, "No, no, you don't swivel from me." And the she's like, "I can't do this. This spaceship keyboard is driving me crazy." And she wrote a word. She's down to one word a minute, and the word is her flippusclup.
Perflipus
For Flippus Club, because I can't fly a spaceship. So Ron's like, "We just got to wait it out." And Donna's been in this enough. She's like, "I know that that's what you think, but we are. Chris is not going to just wait it out. He's going to endure." And so Ron's like, he doesn't really want to, but Donna's like, "You better swivel down there and have a word with him." Um,
Yeah, this is one of the best scenes that we've seen from Donna. Like, that's
yeah,
not about her bends, you know, like,
yeah,
like, I don't know. She cares about her job a little bit. She can't type. She's frustrated, and she has no qualms calling Ron out. And I like the fact that she says, "Usually I'm with you," which then gives her the leeway to then just say, "You need to go." Like she's just telling him what to do. And I love Ron's reaction is just kind of like, "Yeah, I know." You know, like,
right.
yeah. So he's not mad that she's calling him out because he wouldn't put up with that from pretty much anybody else. So I really like this dynamic right now with Donna.
Yeah. Well, essentially what it is Donna saying, "Usually I'm with you. Right
Yeah,
now, I need you to be with us.
right.
Like we all hate this."
Yeah.
And so like as our department lead, like this is the time, Ron, where you actually need to do a job. Like I know you don't want to do the job, but all your team is miserable. So you got to do a job. Yeah, so it's a good little office realism where, like there are things that bosses have that are totally out of their control. But there are other times where the boss can come in and be like, okay, we got to fix this.
Right.
So Tom is trying to scheme his way out of here, out of the fourth floor, and so it cuts back to the fourth floor, and this woman is like, "There's nothing left. It's over." And Chris is there, like consoling her. Is like, "Hey, it's okay. Get yourself together. Go out there and be the woman that you knew you could be." And she's like, "Thank you," and walks away. She's crying, and Chris is helping, and Tom's like, "Who is that? I don't know. I saw her crying, and so I helped." And so I helped. Yeah, the captain positive here. And so Tom is saying, "Look, I got to get out of this. This is not my gig. It's not my wheelhouse." And he even says, "I tend to work best with young, attractive people."
And it's great too because like seeing what Chris is doing with this person that he doesn't know, and right after that he's like, "What are you doing?" And he hears about this person just trying to help us, like helping a stranger, and yet Tom's so about himself that he's just like, "Okay, that's cool, but I really need to get out of this thing."
Right.
Like none of that comes around. It's like, "Oh wow, maybe I do have a good spot, or this isn't that bad." Anyway, I thought that was also a good contrast.
Yeah. So, but Chris, he's saying like, "Look, I gave you this opportunity to
Yeah,
be a project leader, and in an office environment, sometimes you get the title of project leader that is just really terrible work, but when you write a resume, it looks good to say I was a project lead.
sure.
You don't have to say like, yeah, I just was working a scanner with Andy. Uh, but you can say, yeah, I was a project lead. I helped lead the digitization of the archives of the entire government system.
Right.
Like that sounds way cooler than I was in a room where a dude threatened somebody who wasn't there. So, yeah. So, um, Chris says, it's trying to pump him up. He says, "Let your brain unlock the door to your heart's future." I made that expression up when I was 14, still in use today by me. Got a jam. So, yeah. So then, cut back to the archive room, and Ethel and Muriel are there, and they're just like so enthralled by April and Andy. They're the cutest things in on four legs, but they're concerned that April's wearing too much black. It's like she's going to a funeral, and he's like, "You got." They make a good point. Um, and so they're April and Andy are like basically inappropriate in the workplace. Ethel and Muriel are like just enthralled with them, and then Andy is a little bit flirting with them. It's a whole thing. And Tom is super annoyed by all of it. And like, can you hand me that folder over there, Ethel? And Ethel just like slaps it, drops it on the floor, and like like acting like a real child. And she says, "Looks like someone got up on the wrong side of their crib." And Muriel laughs, and they leave. And Tom is the Jerry in this situation now. So he can't handle it. Uh, and then and not go back to the parks office, and Jerry's giving his daily briefing. And it starts really well. So Webster's dictionary describes a pork as a no, it's park. I'm sorry. Jeez, can we start over? And so Ron's in his circle desk, seeing that happen, and he's just turning around, looking at Donna's miserable. Everybody's miserable, and so finally he just says, "All right." Internally, he just decides to go up to Chris's office, and he says, "You have come up with a plan so spectacularly terrible it may bring the government to a halt, and I mean that as a compliment. Like I'm really proud of you. But my department needs to go back to the way it is. Everybody's miserable." And we see here that he knows his team
Hmm.
really well,
Yeah.
which again, like you don't think Ron is really paying attention, but he really does know his team. He knows Tom only performs when there's someone to impress. So there's no one on floor to impress. April is assistant to everyone, but she hates everyone, so that's a problem. Jerry can only function when no one is looking, which is not a really good idea for a PR person. And he describes him, he says, "You shine a light on him and he shrinks up faster than an Eskimo scrotum." Uh, so,
That's very
but
graphic. Very
yeah,
graphic.
yeah, it's an intense picture.
Yeah. I think Ron knows, like, he's figured out the path of least resistance for his office.
Mhm, yeah. And so he's like, "We have to change everything back." And Chris is like, "I can't just roll over on this." And so Ron offers a compromise, and we will see what that compromise is later. So cut back to the C plot here. Tom is in the office, and Andy comes in. He's like, "These pecan squares are awesome. They're like crack. I brought you one." And he's like, "How aren't you like?" Tom's like, "Why are you happy working here?" He's like, "I don't know." Andy just has this great perspective. Like he was living in a pit, and now
Mm-hmm.
he's got a job, a wife. His band is so good, and he's like listing all the things. And like while he's talking, he's like, "Are you going to eat that pecan square?" When like like he is my golden retriever
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
Like she's just so happy to see me. But if there's food around, like she's like, "Are you going to eat that? Can I have it?" Um, and he's like, "When life gives you lemons, make lemonade." I read that once on a can of lemonade, but I like to think it applies to life. So, Andy is just wonderful. So he's trying to convince uh Andy that or Tom that this is not as bad as he thinks, and so um he's like, I don't like it. Cuts to a talking head, and he's like, I don't like lemonade. It's too sweet. It makes my tongue gritty. And so from now on, I'm going to when life gives me lemons, I'm going to make cut them into wedges, put them in vodka tonics, and which I will. Then he goes on to talking about this nightclub that he's going to run with Tay Diggs. It's like Tom clearly does not want to do anything here at all.
Right.
Um, and so then gets back down to Park's office, and everything is back to normal except for one thing. Ron is still in the circle desk, and Leslie's like, "I thought you would have been back in your office by now." I was like, "Well, I have to be here for a week." And a citizen comes in, and Leslie like intervenes while Ron is swiveling away from the citizen. So
Yeah. And I love how Leslie too, it just asks, everyone's kind of back except for you. And Ron's like, "Oh yeah, you know how it tries to play it off." And then Leslie's like, "Yeah, how long do you have to do this?" Like she knows what Ron did, even though nobody else really does.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Ron is taking the hit here, and Leslie uh, appreciates it. Um, and then there's a great little credit scene before we go to the A plot where Andy is sitting in the shoe shine stand, and there's a guy filling in for Andy. Which again, I don't know why this is even a thing in the city hall. Why would they need your shoes can't get scuffed up that much in 3 weeks? So he's like the guy's doing it, and they're like, "You're doing it all wrong." He's like, "Hop up here, let me show you." And so he's like, "The thing is, you're thinking too much about it." And so he polishes the guy's shoes, and then like gets up and like, "Don't mess it up by when I come back in a few weeks." And then he pays the guy, and he pays the other person because Andy shined that other person's shoes.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's
Andy
his
is
it's
dumb.
it's his stand. So,
Right. Yeah. He's trying to defend the integrity of his workplace.
but I love the fact that he even like that they even wrote in like, well, if Andy's not at the shoe shine, who is?
Right. It's crucial for the functioning of the whole city hall.
Even though they have that one like chain that skinny chain that can go across the whole thing and that shuts it down. But nope,
Right.
gotta
Yeah.
gotta
Kyle,
get that
I'm
guy.
surprised Kyle ever got out of there. So
Kyle's just been that would have been funny too if it was just like Kyle behind the
sitting
chain.
there for a
But
long time as a credit scene, just
yeah,
like,
that's the
Andy,
credit scene.
Andy, can I leave? I really want to meet Kyle's boss. I wish that would have been a dynamic at some point.
Right.
Like, what department is Kyle in, and who's his boss? Because he's terrible. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about the A plot because Leslie and Ben are, they have expressed their feelings for each other. It is out there. It's public. And so, they are starting to date, and it's a big deal because this is something that is a no for Chris. It's a major rule.
Hmm.
And so it starts with a classic Aaron Sorkin esque walk and talk in the hallway, talking about a meeting coming up. And then Ben says, at some point I think we should probably make out. And Leslie's like, yeah, that's a good call. And so let's talking head. Leslie's like, the beginning of relationships are the best. There's no fights. Everything's great. You're just drinking white wine, cuddling, and a crazy amount of History Channel documentaries. And but here Ben introduces the tension for this whole episode. He's like, hey, I have a meeting with Marlene Griggs Nope. Are you related to her? And Leslie right away says, oh no, just a coincidence. We get it all the time. She's actually Filipino, which is a lie. And we've met Marlene in this show. So as the watcher, we're like, oh, this is all lies, and obviously that's going to be something that she's going to know. Like Ben's going to know she's not Filipino, like right away. Um, and so this is the only other part in this whole episode where Anne comes in because Leslie goes to Anne's office, and tells her what's going on, and Anne's just like, why don't you just tell her that she's your mom? He's like, because then it's going to ruin everything. And so she's trying to protect the bubble of the relationship,
Hmm.
um, but it's not going to. Yeah, Anne is the voice of reason here. Like, you just tell him, and it will be over, and it will be fine. But yeah,
And it also kind of starts like this this funny little thread of Leslie trying to solve all of her problems by either her sending someone or herself to a different country.
right. We should just buy my mom a ticket to England.
Right.
So
And then I can
we
go
got
visit her there. Everybody wins.
yeah, all good things. So so then the next time we see Leslie, she goes to talk to Ben, and
Wait,
hey,
wait,
since
wait, hold on.
what?
Sorry. Because then Stuart comes in, like they're talking. I'm
Oh,
like,
right.
Stuart, please. It's my office too. I don't know.
Yeah, that guy was rude.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Stuart is not long for the city hall. So,
No.
yeah. So the next time we see Leslie, she goes and talks to Ben and is like, "Hey, since I'm here, I want you to let you know that Marlene Griggs Nope is my mom, and she's not easy to get along with. She holds on to things for a really long time. She's kind of a bully, and like this is right before Ben's going to go into her
Right.
office, and then she's like, but you'll do great. And she like, I don't know if she's just trying to go in for a hug, but she spills her coffee on him, and now it's got coffee all over his shirt. And when he goes in, like Ben is totally flustered, and Marlene's first response is, "Looks like you got some shirt on your coffee." Yeah, you know what happened? I spilled it. But you know how it goes. And and Marlene's just like, fun anecdote. And so she wants some school buses because she oversees the education department, and she wants some new buses. And Ben's like totally flustered, and he's like, "Yeah, okay, that's it." He's like, "Yeah, no, no, you can't." And so he's worked himself into a corner with Marlene already, and so he's not happy about all this because Leslie lied to him uh, about the whole situation. And then cuts back, and Leslie comes in, is like, "Hey, how'd it go? I made you a mixtape, and it's uh, put only 5 Sarah McLachlan songs on it, which is too many. And then Ben's like, we should talk about how your mom was a Filipino woman you'd never met, and yeah, it's like, and she says like, look, it was all terrible, and we need to figure this out. And Leslie's like, I just want to stay in the bubble for a while and not have to like get real with consequences of their relationship. But Ben's like, I came off like an idiot, and that's because you sent me in there completely unprepared. So they're having really their first fight. Um, and so Leslie's like, I'm sure she thought you were great and not a problem. Like you did great. And so Marlene's like, cuts to Marlene's office. She's like, I loved him. He's a total pushover. He's just a spineless jellyfish. Um, and Leslie's like, oh, that's not great. And so um, then gets back to talking to Ben, and it's like, it's totally fine. Don't worry about it. And Ben's like, no, it's not. She thinks I'm a pushover. Everybody's gonna think I'm a pushover. We have to fix this. And then a woman comes in, is like, now the education department is asking for 10 buses because Ben's a pushover. And so they're like, we got to fix this. And Leslie's response here, we could go to Belize
Right.
and go scuba diving, and we'll get you certified. We'll look at whale sharks. It's like, again, avoid the problem at all costs.
Because I like how they're like, now that I'm a pushover, why not ask for 10 or 20 or 100 school buses or a fleet of school yachts? Like that's a,
I'm sure somewhere in Scientology there is a fleet of school yachts, but it's not the world that we're living in.
it's not. It's not.
So 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 they go ahead and they start their training for meeting with Marlene. And Les is like, you got to be powerful, decisive. Uh, this is not a meeting; it's a battle. Normal rules do not apply. And so comes in, is like, hello, wrong. What? No preambles, no introductions. Just walk in and start talking. And so like, okay, we need to talk about the school bus. Like, stop. you're rhyming, and you should already be sitting down. And like she's giving him all these rules of all the things that are happening, and then he says, is like, is the sound in dumb? That's what she says to people. And you've crossed your legs like a woman. Should we start over? No. So here, memorize all these 10 things that she like all the things she needs to let us talk about. And you got 10 minutes. And one of the things on the item is Deliverance, the movie. So I was like, well, I don't know how you would talk about that, but all right. So getting just a really intense study on Marlene. And then so Leslie cuts to Leslie talking to Marlene, and she comes in and is like, "Mommy," which that's never happened before when we've met Marlene. And
No.
so it seems like Leslie's trying to like soften her up a little bit. Um, and so she brings coffee for Marlene, trying to put her in a good mood and all this stuff. And then Ben comes in. It's like, so I see that you are actually requesting for more school buses. And Marlene's like, what are you doing? We're having coffee here. Could we do this another time? No, we're going to do it now. Or I could just not give you any money for the education budget. And so now Ben is being the hard one. And so they cut back to the meeting after some other stuff, and like, we can't do it, it's not possible, we can't spend the money, and don't even try to outflank me because you will fail. And Marlene's shocked, like, where's all this confidence coming from? And it's coming from Leslie knowing the cheat sheet too. And then Ben's like, well, maybe we can compromise. And they quote Andrew Carnegie, and then Ben quotes Calvin and Hobbes, which I can't tell you how many times in a meeting where quoting Calvin and Hobbes really brought the whole thing together.
Sure.
Because it's never happened. And then they're like, oh, well, maybe we can work something out. So it cuts to a talking head, and
But the quote didn't even make sense. Like that was the part that I thought was hilarious. It reminds me of another quote because they're going to compromise, and it's like, you need a lobotomy, I'll get the saw. It's like, what? I don't. What?
I think it was just the aggressive nature of the quote. Like,
Sure.
you're not thinking straight. I'm going to cut your head open.
Okay.
I think that's what it's getting at. And so while Leslie's doing a talking head about how this is going so great, the camera has Ben and Marlene in the background, and Marlene puts her hand on Ben's knee, and Ben is like, "What? Ah!" And then the rapid come back into the meeting, and Ben is like, "Yep, okay, okay," and he just wants to get out of there. And Leslie's like, "Wow, she was really impressed by you. I mean, you could hit. You guys are hitting it off really well. Maybe we should go to her house." It's like, no, not all bad things. And Then Leslie comes back with a gift. Like the meeting went so good. Like, Ben hasn't told her yet what happened. Meeting was so good. I made you a little music box that you can give her. It's got McSteamy from Grey's Anatomy, which is a show I've never seen. And But I guess it's a big thing for Marlene. And then she says, "Look, your mom made a pass at me, and this is not good." Uh, so she's like, maybe she was just flirting a little bit. I'm sure she's not really interested in me. And was like, no, we have to. I can't do this. This is awful. It's going to destroy the bubble. And flirting with you is number one on the list of things destroying the bubble. um, which I didn't even think you should put on a list. But there it is. And so then Leslie is like, maybe we issue a government-wide memo about sexual harassment, and then you go to Mexico just for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So and then Ben just goes and to Marlene's office and is like, look, Leslie and I are dating, and it's a big deal. Like, we're not telling anybody because we could lose our job. And I trust that you won't tell anybody either. And then she's like, well, then I want 4 buses. And Ben says 2, and it's a deal. So, and then Leslie says, or she's like, looks to Leslie like, I like this one. And Leslie's like, me too. Keep your hands off it. So, and that's the A plot. The more, Marlene now knows that Ben and Leslie are dating. We see that Ben is willing to use their relationship to win a negotiation. So that, which I don't know how I feel about that. But yeah, I mean, they're into each other. It's happening. The relationship is getting more and more real. And yeah, so this was season 3, episode 15, and we have one more episode this season, in which the relationship between Ben and Leslie is going to continue to escalate, but also in a time of great mourning for
Mm.
the entire city of Pawnee on a very special episode of Parks and Recreation. So, yeah, man, we went through a lot here, Jeremy.
There was a lot. Yeah. It
Anything
was
that we missed?
like a whole episode's worth.
Anything that we need to highlight, or any feelings after this episode that you're like, I don't know, I like this, I didn't like that. Anything?
No, I mean, I think this was a fine episode. I think there were some funny bits, and yeah, um, not the strongest in season 3, but it moves the plot along, and I think Nick Offerman had the best acting job, the easiest acting job for this one. He just got to sit in a chair pretty much the whole time and swirl around,
Yeah, it's a pretty good
twirl
gig.
twirl around and look uncomfortable. Um, no, I think the desk and yeah, like you said, the desk and the lady running around it was probably the best part. Also, I love that they brought back the fourth floor, and that they'll continue bringing back the fourth floor as though it's its own kind of character, its own place, as a super sketchy, creepy place, which is just fantastic that it's on again the fourth floor. And so yeah, yeah, it was great. Anne is finally there for an actual reason.
Yeah,
Um,
she's got a job.
yeah, and yeah, I don't know. What did you think?
I agree that it moves things forward. I do think, as we see Tom progression here, we
Oh
also
yeah,
see that he is actually like tired of working in this environment, and so he's like, you see him looking for a Hoosier career,
yeah,
probably created by the same person who made Hoosier Mate, um, and so he's like looking for jobs, which is that's going to be a part of Tom's journey in the next season,
right.
starting with the next episode. So yeah, this was really just a moving all the set pieces where you need them for the next, um, the conclusion of the season, which is next episode. So
Yeah,
um, yeah, So all in all, it's a fine episode. There's funny things, but it's
uh
not
huh,
like the best episode. And it was rated at 8.2 on IMDb, and I feel like that is fairly accurate.
sure.
So, but yeah, I do love. I love Ethel. Having her back, having her in the mix now is great.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. So I would love for like someday they're gonna make like a display of this in the Smithsonian, and my hope is that they like put the circle desk in there. So and then like have a hologram of Ron just swiveling, so then people can come and be like, sir, and they can like post that on their Twitter or their Instagram.
they could just run around the desk while he turns away from him.
Yeah, I think that would be great. So
Like, do you want him
that's
to recreate the entire office at the Smithsonian?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that sounds great. But yeah, that would be yeah. I mean, it can't be that hard. I mean, they've already made it. They just need to move it over to the Smithsonian.
sure.
All this stuff exists somewhere.
Like the office, like the office in the office.
Yeah, yeah. It's easy. I don't know why more people don't do this.
I wonder what the
So,
market for that would be. Like, if you had a place, how that like there's escape rooms and stuff. What if you had
mhm.
a place that like recreated the sets and you could just come and have like a party, like have a party in the friends set, or yeah, like
Oh,
the office, like have your Christmas party at the
oh,
office,
have your office Christmas party at the
at
office.
the office, yeah.
Oh, that would be awful.
Have your pizza party at the Parks and Rec office,
That I'd be on board with.
and you only get one pizza.
Oh, that sounds awful.
I don't know.
Yeah,
What other sets would you like rent? Like where else would you ever want to have a like the what set would you want to visit? Like cuz you
cheers.
Cheers. So just a bar. Okay. Have
Well, no, it's not just a bar. It's a bar that's downstairs and has an upstairs to a restaurant, uh, and then a whole back room.
Sure.
Like there's a lot to do there. There's a lot of places to hang out. And like everybody knows your name. It's right in the song. So that'd be great. And if Ted Danson was still the barkeep, oh, that'd be awesome. I'd be on board. If they could revive Coach.
Just the coach's office.
No, Coach, the from Cheers.
Oh, yeah.
The
I thought you meant
okay,
the
yeah.
show like Like, okay, I
With
mean that's oddly specific, but
yeah, that'd be great. Let's just have a meeting in one office. Uh, was there anywhere else in that show that they went?
I don't remember. It would be like the lounge. It would be like the lounge in Wings, like the
Oh my gosh,
airport
that would be a good place too.
the airport Wings.
That would be a fun place to have a party.
Yeah. See?
Yeah.
All right, listener. If you've made it this far, I applaud you. First of all, good job. Really respect. But where would you? What set of a show or that's pretty iconic? Would you consider renting or having a party? I think that would be yeah. Let us know.
Yeah, that is a great question. So email us at parksandconversation@gmail.com. And we look forward to hearing from you on the sad parties that you're going to throw.
Awesome.
No, when parties are allowed again.
Right. Exactly.
You could do a very socially distanced party at Ramsett Park, so which is just
I,
outside.
I do not want to recreate Ramsett Park.
You don't want to get an infection from the suntea that you made from the water that has waste in it.
No.
Okay, all right, well, fine, be that way. So, all right. Well, we should wrap it up here because this was a whole thing we did.
Yeah.
So we
And
should stop.
now it's over.
Yeah. All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye.